unseen garden. Once upon a time, there was a small, quiet town surrounded by rolling hills and dense forests. In this town lived a man named Aaron, who had become known as the man who gave up. Aaron once had dreams of being a great gardener, but after years of drought, poor harvests, and criticism, he let go of his tools and locked his garden gate. The once vibrant space became overgrown with weeds and thorns. Each day, Aaron would sit by his window, staring at his abandoned garden and thinking, "What's the point? Nothing will ever grow again." The townspeople would pass by and shake their heads, whispering, "He used to have so much potential." These whispers deepened Aaron's belief that his efforts were pointless. One cold morning, a young girl named Mira knocked on his door. She held a small clay pot with a tiny sprout inside. "Mr. Aaron," she said, her voice soft but eager, "I've heard you're the best gardener in town. Can you help me grow this plant?" Aaron sighed, looking at the fragile sprout. "I'm not the best gardener," he replied bitterly. "You should ask someone else." But Mira didn't leave. She placed the pot on his table and said, "You might not think you are, but I believe you can help. I'll come back in a week." With that, she ran off, leaving the little plant behind. Aaron stared at the sprout for days. He thought about throwing it away, but something about its delicate green leaves held him back. Finally, one evening, he grabbed his watering can and gave it a few drops of water. "It won't survive," he muttered to himself. "But here's your chance, little one." To his surprise, by the next morning, the sprout had grown taller, its leaves reaching toward the sunlight streaming through his window. For the first time in years, Aaron felt a spark of curiosity. He moved the pot to a sunnier spot, loosened the soil, and gave it more water. Day by day, the sprout flourished under his care. When Mira returned a week later, she gasped with delight. "I knew you could do it," she exclaimed. "It's so much healthier now." Aaron felt a small smile tug at his lips. "It's just one plant," he said modestly. But Mira shook her head. "It's not just a plant. It's proof that you still have the touch." Her words stayed with Aaron long after she left. That evening, he stood by his window, looking at his overgrown garden. The weeds were thick, the soil dry, and the once bright flowers were gone. But then he glanced at the little pot, now holding a vibrant green plant, and thought, if this plant can grow, maybe others can too. The next morning, Aaron picked up his old tools and walked into his neglected garden. It was hard work at first, pulling out weeds, breaking up the hardened soil, and clearing the thorns. But as the days turned into weeks, the garden began to transform. He planted seeds and watched as tiny shoots pushed their way through the earth. The once dull space started to come alive with color. The townspeople noticed the change. "Look," they said, "Aaron's garden is coming back to life." They began visiting him for advice, and Aaron started sharing tips and seeds with others. His garden became a symbol of hope for the entire town. One day, Mira visited again. She stood in awe of the lush, blooming garden, her eyes wide with admiration. "See, Mr. Aaron? I told you that you could do it." Aaron knelt down beside her, handing her a flower from the garden. "Thank you, Mira. You reminded me of something I had forgotten, that even when things seem hopeless, life can grow again if we give it a chance." From that day forward, Aaron's garden wasn't just a place of beauty. It was a reminder to everyone that even in the hardest times, with a little effort and belief, something wonderful can grow. The lesson: no matter how dark or difficult life feels, there is always the potential for growth. It starts with one small action, one spark of hope. Believe in the possibility of change, and life will surprise you in ways you never imagined.